There was a time when people actually believed it might be real. Wait, this isn't just another scripted talent show? That was America's Got Talent, back when it felt genuine, surprising, and just a little bit magical. Back when reality TV still had the decency to pretend it was real. But even then, the seeds of spectacle were being sown. In those early days, AGT wasn't just a show, it was a cultural moment, a mirror held up to a nation obsessed with the idea of the American dream. It tapped into something primal, the belief that anyone, anywhere, could rise from obscurity to stardom with nothing but grit and a good act. That raw optimism wasn't just a gimmick, it was the show's heartbeat, pulsing through every shaky audition and standing ovation. Fast forward to now, and you're more likely to see a guy in a glittery morph suit eating flaming hot Cheetos off a pogo stick, while Howie Mandel fake laughs like his mortgage depends on it. Oh wait, it does. AGT has gone from raw talent to polished content, from lightning-in-a-bottle moments to algorithm-approved, sponsor-safe spectacle. Once a stage for underdogs, now a set piece for viral clips. It used to feel authentic, surprising. Back when Simon Cowell still had blood in his veins, and Piers Morgan wasn't just a professional tweet generator. And yet, that authenticity wasn't just about the performers, it was about the audience, too. Back then, viewers tuned in with wide-eyed curiosity, not cynicism. Families gathered around their TVs, debating whether the fire juggler or the tap-dancing grandma deserved to move forward. There was a communal joy in the unpredictability, a shared investment in the chaos of it all. AGT wasn't just watched, it was lived, argued over, celebrated. It felt like our show. Remember the guy who made shadow puppets with his hands and won? Or the awkward magician with zero charisma, but hands like Houdini? Those were the moments that made AGT feel real. But now, AGT is like that friend who used to be cool and now hosts motivational TikToks about manifesting success with a ring light and a green smoothie. It's not aging gracefully. It's been stretched, retouched, and pre-lit for maximum emotional impact. But how did we get here? To understand how this glitter-coated content circus started out as a dream factory, we need to go back to the beginning. Let's rewind. America's Got Talent premiered in 2006. Back when reality TV still felt like a social experiment instead of a branding strategy. It was messy, chaotic, and genuinely exciting. This wasn't just another singing contest. It was open-ended, open-hearted chaos. A stage where anything could happen, and often did. The idea was beautifully simple. What if anyone in America, no matter their age, background, or talent, could step on a stage and have a shot at greatness? No polished backstories. No influencer-level social media followings. No calculated brand packages. Just people. Nervous, weird, brilliant people. That simplicity was revolutionary in an era when reality TV was still finding its footing. Shows like American Idol had already set a template for singing competitions, but AGT broke the mold by refusing to be one thing. It was a circus, a concert, a comedy club, and a magic show all at once. Its refusal to specialize gave it a kind of reckless freedom, a willingness to take risks that other programs wouldn't touch. In a landscape of copycats, AGT stood alone, a bold experiment in inclusivity and unpredictability. One moment you'd see a guy doing bird impressions. The next, a gospel singer shaking the rafters. A contortionist would fold into a suitcase right after a guy played Beethoven with spoons, followed by a 6-year-old dancing like Michael Jackson. It wasn't clean, but it was honest. And then came Terry Fader, a ventriloquist with a puppet, who sang like Roy Orbison. Everyone, even Simon, raised an eyebrow, until the entire room went silent and then exploded. Fader didn't just win season 2. He signed a $100 million contract in Las Vegas. Suddenly, this silly little summer show had teeth. It could change lives. The message was clear. This wasn't a game. This was a platform. What followed was a golden era of AGT, a wave of unforgettable performers who felt like they were plucked straight from obscurity and catapulted into the spotlight. There was Neely Boyd, a humble insurance salesman whose opera voice brought the judges to tears. Grace Vanderwall, a shy 12-year-old with and a voice like Indy Honey. Kenichi Ebina, who danced like a glitch in the Matrix and made you question the laws of physics. And Matt Franco, a magician who didn't rely on flashy edits or gimmicks, just pure skill and charm. These weren't characters cooked up by producers. They were real people with real talent showing up in real time. That realness wasn't just a happy accident. It was the result of a production process that, in those early years, prioritized discovery over control. Casting directors scoured small-town talent shows, community theaters, and even street corners for acts that felt fresh and unpolished. The auditions weren't slick Zoom submissions vetted by algorithms. They were raw, in-person cattle calls where hopefuls waited hours for a shot at glory. That grittiness gave the show its edge, a sense that the next big thing could come from anywhere. The show gave you the thrill of discovery, the feeling that someone with zero polish could walk onto that massive stage and deliver something unforgettable. It felt like lightning in a bottle because it was. The judges weren't influencers yet. The audience wasn't jaded yet. Even Simon Cowell, the king of cold cuts, gave reactions that felt sharp, yes, but sincere. Harsh, absolutely, but honest. AGT didn't follow trends. It made them. And maybe most importantly, there was no formula. No mandatory sob story followed by a triumphant arc. No quota of golden buzzers per episode. No slow-motion hug over a piano ballad. Back then, you couldn't predict the magic. You just had to sit back and hope for it. That lack of predictability wasn't just refreshing, it was radical. In a TV landscape increasingly obsessed with formulas and franchises, AGT's anything goes ethos felt like a rebellion. It wasn't trying to game the system or chase ratings with cheap tricks. It was too busy celebrating the weird, the wonderful, and the wildly unexpected. For a brief moment, it was the antithesis of corporate entertainment, a reminder that art could still surprise us. The first real cracks appeared when audiences started realizing these contestants weren't always who they said they were. The emotional narratives began to feel rehearsed. The amateur acts turned out to be seasoned pros. Performers with record deals, verified YouTube channels, and resumes longer than Simon Cowell's Botox receipt, all being introduced like they just wandered in off the street. I've never performed in front of a big audience before. Right. Except for that time you sold out an arena in Germany. Discovery turned into deception, like when Sacred Rihanna, the eerie magician from Indonesia, was hyped as this never-before-seen enigma, only for fans to realize she had already won Asia's Got Talent, using the exact same tricks, hair flicks, and creepy pacing. The only thing new? The audience. Because this wasn't about discovering raw, unfiltered talent anymore. It was about repackaging familiar acts to fit a viral mold. This shift didn't just betray the show's ethos, it changed its relationship with the audience. Viewers who once felt like co-conspirators in the magic now felt like marks in a con. The internet, still in its adolescence during AGT's early years, became a double-edged sword. Fans could fact-check claims in real time, sharing screenshots and old performance clips that exposed the show's sleight of hand. What was once a shared celebration became a game of gotcha, with audiences scouring for proof that the next big discovery wasn't so new after all. Like indie bands pretending to be underground while secretly sponsored by Coca-Cola. And it didn't stop with the acts. Soon the judges started to feel off-script, or maybe too on-script. Howie Mandel, once the wild card, slowly turned into a human soundboard of dad jokes. Heidi Klum became a live-action Instagram comment section. Sofia Vergara, though undeniably charming, often looked like she was reacting to an entirely different performance. And Simon, the once feared oracle of brutal honesty, became a soft-spoken parody of himself. The dramatic pauses, the gentle lean-ins, the predictable compliments. It's not judging, it's branding. And when judges act more like influencers than critics, the show loses the spontaneity and credibility that made it compelling in the first place. And then, there's the golden buzzer. Once a thrilling, unpredictable showstopper, now a carefully scheduled programming beat. Every judge gets one. Every season needs 5. It's no longer earned, it's assigned. This is why we do this show, they whisper through fake tears just before slamming their palm onto the button. Meanwhile, backstage, a producer is already uploading the clip to YouTube with the title, Emotional Golden Buzzer Leaves Everyone in Tears. The swelling music, the tragic backstory montage, the slow push-in on teary eyes. You can spot the golden buzzer moment before the act even opens their mouth. A formula, not a feeling. It's not television, it's emotional engineering. That engineering extended beyond the buzzer to the very structure of the show. Seasons grew longer, with more episodes padded by recaps and montages, diluting the intensity of the competition. Live shows, once the raw climax of the season, became overproduced spectacles where technical glitches and canned applause drowned out the talent. The spontaneity that defined AGT's early years was replaced by a machine-like efficiency, every moment choreographed to maximize engagement. Metrics over genuine connection. Audiences aren't tuning in to be surprised by talent. They're here for the golden confetti, the dopamine hit, the perfectly edited redemption arc. And the worst part? It works. And don't even get us started on the editing. At some point, AGT stopped documenting talent and started producing it. Every shot, every slow-motion tear, every gasp from the audience feels staged. There's more post-production on a 2-minute audition than in most Marvel movies, because the goal isn't to showcase talent, it's to sell feelings. And while the heartstrings are being yanked harder than a budget marionette, the actual talent, the thing this entire show is supposedly about, gets pushed to the background. You watch a man set himself on fire while balancing on a unicycle, and all you can think is, wow, that edit really sold it. That editing wasn't just cosmetic, it was a deliberate shift in priorities. Producers learned that a well-crafted sob story could outshine even the most jaw-dropping performance. The talent became a vehicle for the narrative, not the other way around. A singer with a decent voice but a heartbreaking backstory would get more airtime than a virtuoso with no drama to sell. The result? A show that felt less like a talent competition and more like a soap opera with occasional juggling. America's Got Talent used to be a show about dreams. Now it's a dream simulator, running on a script with just enough glitter to distract you from the fact that nothing is real anymore. Let's talk about the turning point, the moment when we have to ask, how did America's Got Talent lose its soul? And did we even notice when it happened? It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow drift, season by season, edit by edit. But if we had to pick a moment that symbolized the downfall, it's this. The day the producers realized they could recycle the same emotional blueprint every single week, and the audience would still eat it up. This blueprint wasn't just a creative choice, it was a business model. As reality TV became big business, AGT's parent company, Fremantle, leaned harder into what worked, emotional manipulation over raw talent. Sponsors demanded predictable returns, and networks craved viral moments that could dominate watercooler chatter. The show's soul was traded for scalability, a machine designed to churn out feel-good content at the expense of its original spark. Every performance started to blur together. The nervous contestant walks in. We cut to a backstory package, a hardship, a tragedy, a dead pet, a dream, cue soft piano, cut to teary interviews. Then the performance, usually decent, sometimes even good. But the reaction, always the same. A dramatic pause, a trembling voice. You're what this show is all about. Golden buzzer, the confetti, the hug, the instant upload to YouTube. What once sounded like surprise, now feels like theater. Even Simon Cowell seems to be reciting his own punchlines. America's Got Talent slowly transformed into the Hallmark Channel, with LED lights and pyrotechnics. An emotional fireworks factory where the packaging matters more than the performance. And if there was one actual scandal that cracked the illusion wide open, it was the pre-audition process being exposed. Turns out the people on that stage weren't just random hopefuls plucked from open calls. They were recruited, screened, and in many cases, was coached. Some came through talent agencies. Some had agents. Some had performed the exact same act on other shows in other countries. That pre-audition process wasn't just a logistical necessity. It was a gatekeeping mechanism that favored marketability over merit. Producers weren't looking for the best talent. They were looking for the best story. Acts were shaped, sometimes even rewritten, to fit the show's narrative arcs. A juggler might be asked to lean into a quirky persona. A singer might be nudged toward a tearjerker ballad. The result was a pipeline of performers who felt less like individuals and more like products, each one molded to fit the AGT brand. Remember Angelina Jordan, crowned Norway's Got Talent winner at 8. Years later, she was introduced on AGT as Golden Buzzer winner on Norway's Got Talent at age 8. And yet, her discovery was still packaged like a fresh face to the AGT crowd. So much for the American dream. Instead of a fair and open competition, we got a curated content pipeline, optimized not for talent, but for engagement. That soulful busker with the raw edge, signed in Europe. That wide-eyed kid with zero experience, on stage since age 6. Even their entrances are staged, lit like a Marvel origin story, underscored with music designed to trigger goosebumps on command. And Simon, the man who once prided himself on unfiltered honesty, now looks like he's hitting pre-programmed beats. The squint, the silence, the inevitable. I wasn't expecting that. Delivered with the same cadence 3 times an episode. But here's the kicker. People kept watching. Because the formula works. It still tugs at the heart, even when it's fake. That staying power speaks to something deeper, our hunger for stories of triumph. Even as AGT's flaws became impossible to ignore, its core promise, that anyone could shine, still resonated. The problem wasn't the idea, it was the execution. The show didn't need to abandon its roots to stay relevant. It needed to double down on them. But instead, it chased trends, mistaking flash for substance and clicks for connection. America's Got Talent became the emotional fast food of reality television. Predictable, addictive, empty calories with just enough sparkle to make you crave more. That's when the magic died. When the show stopped being a stage and became a storyboard. Let's be honest. America's Got Talent isn't just bad these days. It's boringly, painfully, unwatchably bad. And that's worse than being chaotic or cringe. Because at least then, you're entertaining. The problem isn't the performers. Many are genuinely talented. It's the rigid structure and predictable pacing that drain the spontaneity from the show. It's the sense that nothing spontaneous is ever going to happen again. That predictability wasn't just a creative failure. It was a cultural one. AGT once captured the messy, diverse spirit of America itself, a place where weirdness and ambition could collide in unexpected ways. Now, it feels like a corporate playlist, every note calculated to offend no one and inspire everyone just enough to keep watching. It's not a reflection of America anymore. It's a reflection of what networks think America wants. You can practically hear the producer whispering behind the scenes. Okay, cue the emotional swell. And now, Simon, pause for effect. Perfect. The show isn't about discovery anymore. It's about presentation. Not what you do, but how you frame it. We're not watching talent. We're watching trauma. Because if your story isn't wrapped in tragedy or personal struggle, it's not making the final cut. This shift has made audiences cynical. People started noticing that acts were too polished and too rehearsed. Reddit threads exploded with theories. TikTok users began posting side-by-side comparisons of performers on AGT versus their other professional gigs. Even YouTube comments, a place that once overflowed with "who else is crying RN," have taken a darker, more skeptical turn. Viewers say things like, "Didn't this guy already win a show in the UK? Or why is this the 4th golden buzzer in one episode?" The illusion is crumbling. That crumbling illusion wasn't just a loss for AGT. It was a loss for reality TV as a whole. The genre thrives on trust, on the belief that what we're seeing is at least partially real. When that trust erodes, the stakes vanish. A golden buzzer doesn't hit the same when you know it's coming. A tearful backstory feels cheap when you spot the script. AGT's decline became a case study in what happens when a show prioritizes profit over purpose, trading its soul for a few more seasons. And when the audience no longer believes the story you're selling, they stop engaging with it the way they used to. The emotional beats feel hollow. The dramatic music feels manipulative. The tears feel forced. And worst of all, the talent feels secondary. But it doesn't end there. The internet turned AGT into a meme. Parody videos surfaced where creators mocked the standard audition script. Robert, what are you thinking? The sad story, the quiet piano track, the sudden swell of triumph. There's even a viral format. Pretend to cry, sing a ballad, and cut to a golden confetti overlay. What was once a genuine dream machine is now parody fodder for Gen Z with editing apps. That memification wasn't just a sign of changing times. It was a rebellion. Audiences, especially younger ones, refused to be spoon-fed the same tired tropes. They turned AGT's predictability into a punchline, reclaiming the narrative through satire. It was a reminder that viewers aren't passive consumers. They're active critics, ready to call out inauthenticity with a well-timed edit or a savage comment. And the show doesn't even seem to mind. Because those parodies, they drive clicks. And clicks mean metrics. And metrics are king. That's the final twist. AGT didn't just get worse. It got aware of its own absurdity and leaned into it. Like a sitcom character who knows they're in a sitcom and starts hamming it up for the camera. The self-awareness made it worse, not better. Even the judges have become caricatures of themselves. Howie Mandel is now just the zany uncle archetype. Heidi Klum throws compliments like darts at a wall. Sofia Vergara repeats the same 3 catchphrases. And Simon? He's become an AI-generated version of Simon Cowell, programmed to squint, pause, and say something vaguely inspirational. The authenticity is gone. The excitement is gone. And slowly, the audience is going too. So what now? Can America's Got Talent ever be good again? It's tempting to say no. That the format is too far gone. The formula too baked in. But there is a path forward. And ironically, it's by going backward. AGT needs to rediscover the charm it once had. It needs to stop chasing virality and start chasing vulnerability. Real vulnerability. Not the kind that comes with a sob story and a violin track, but the kind that happens when someone stands on a stage, unsure of themselves, and still delivers something unforgettable. Kill the golden buzzer. It's lost its meaning. Bring back the idea that every performance matters equally. Let the audience vote again, actually vote, without producer manipulation. That call to return to basics isn't just nostalgia, it's a challenge. In an age of fragmented media, where streaming platforms and social apps compete for our attention, AGT has a chance to stand out by being unapologetically real again. It could be the antidote to TikTok's polished perfection, a place where flaws and quirks are celebrated, not airbrushed. But that would require courage, a willingness to risk lower ratings for the sake of rebuilding trust. Stop scripting reactions. Let judges be surprised. Let them be unimpressed sometimes. Let the show breathe. And more than anything, stop editing everything into oblivion. We don't need 15 camera angles and 6 slow-motion shots of a hug. Just let the performance speak for itself. Because we've seen what AGT looks like when it works. We've seen the magic. When a magician with social anxiety takes the stage and blows the crowd away. When a stand-up comedian no one's ever heard of gets a standing ovation. Clearly she got braces. My name is Preacher Lawson. Thank you so much. When a kid walks up, no frills, and sings a song that makes the whole room fall silent. Those are the moments that matter. Not the tears. Not the trauma packages. Not the golden confetti. We've seen that show already, remember? The real magic lies elsewhere. Just talent. So yes, AGT can be good again, but only if it stops pretending to be something bigger than it is. It doesn't need to be a viral machine. It needs to be a stage. Because at the end of the day, America's Got Talent was never about perfection. It was about possibility. Let's bring that back. That possibility isn't just a tagline. It's a legacy. AGT once reminded us that talent could come from anywhere, that dreams didn't need a budget or a backstory to shine. If it can reclaim that spirit, it might not just save itself. It could redefine what reality TV can be. A stage for the unfiltered, the unexpected, the undeniably human. That's the show we fell in love with. That's the show we're still rooting for. And hey, if you made it this far without hitting a golden buzzer, respect. If you enjoyed this nostalgic deep dive into glitter gimmicks and gut punch edits, why not stick around? Subscribe for more breakdowns of shows that lost the plot, found it again, and maybe still deserve a second chance. Because just like AGT once was, this channel is all about raw ideas, surprising moments, and calling out the scripted nonsense when we see it. No confetti required. Just click that button.